Hey there, everybody. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of the Monsters Den. Today we have in the co-captain's chair for this tribute to Ray Harryhausen, we've got Mr. Rich Catino. We've got Ralph from over at Rock Fantasy Files. What's going on, Ralph? And then also Mr. Jamie Laszlo.
Great to be back, Pete. And hey, I want to get my prop out of the way. First thing, if that's okay for this show.
That is okay.
I wanted to show you my one sole prop. I got an actual Hydra tooth. This is a real, actual tooth from a Hydra. Oh, shit. I'm sorry. Oh, crap. Sorry. Had to deal with a little something. That was actually a skeleton. In reality, that escaped from my closet. But that's all right. It's taken care of. Now it's dead.
Is that one of the ones from wait, which one? Where were they?
Jason.
Jason
and the Argonauts or the Sinbad movie? Where's that from?
Jason.
Jason and the Argonauts.
Yes, it was a Hydra tooth. If you own a Hydra tooth, you got to be careful with those things. Don't drop them.
That's right. Put those in the ground and you never know what you might get, right?
Yep.
All right, very cool. We got this.
And thank you to my wife for helping. Go, you can crawl to bed now. Crawl to bed. Good night, Grace.
Grace, you've been a great trooper. We greatly appreciate it. So as we said, so tonight is all about the films of Ray Harryhausen. I've asked everybody here on the panel to, we got 15 films. So I've asked everybody to rank them in the order that they like them. We realize with the four of us and 15 films, it's a lot to cover. So we're not going to talk too heavily about these films, but hopefully everybody watching has seen them. If there's any you haven't, you'll probably get enough information on each one to go out and check them out. And you know what? Ray Harryhausen, one of the great stop motion effect people in the industry ever. He's a giant among special effects artists, and he has created so many wonderful monsters and dinosaurs and creatures and things and spaceships and all sorts of fun stuff. And we've got the folks on the call. We get some cool books and toys and things like that to show during each of our picks. So why don't we have our first time entrant into the Monsters Den. Ralph, why don't you kick us off with your number 15 film?
All right, thanks for having me. I love Monsters Den. I watch every episode. For number 15, I got to go with Three Worlds Gulliver. It's got some great special effects in it, but not enough monsters for me. I'm a monster kid. I grew up playing Dungeons and Dragons, and these were like my Bibles as a kid growing up. Yep, these were like my Bibles growing up. All the monsters, and that's what I like more, for especially from Ray Harryhausen. But it's still a good movie. I loved it as a kid, but when I got to rank them, it's got to be number 15 for me. And I got no props from that one. Gotcha. I love the alligator scene.
Yeah, cool alligator in that film, I think. Yeah, the giant squirrel, or small squirrel, but looking giant to them. Yep. Yeah, it's more of a kid's film, I think, than a lot of these other ones that we're going to talk about. But still pretty cool. It's fun. Jamie, what do you got for number 15?
1 million BC.
Really?
Real quick, if we were doing 16, The Animal World, which is just a documentary with Ray Harryhausen doing a little. The dinosaurs aren't even that good in the movie. But yeah, 1 million BC answers the question to why don't they make more caveman movies? That's why. It's hard to. They don't speak English. They grunt. It's actually kind of a boring movie if you ask me. But in the FX, the special effects kind of clash for me. They do stop motion, and then all of a sudden there's a big real lizard and it clashes. Pick one or the other. Don't combine. And best special effect, though, I'm going to do my favorite special effect of each movie. The raptor fighting the caveman around the tree is really good. And also the bigger dinosaurs fighting. It's like a T-Rex with a horn. I think it actually has a name. I'm not sure what it is.
Tyrannosaurus.
Yeah, I'm sure Ray Harryhausen had a fun time making it because he loves dinosaurs, and he actually called this animation Dynamation. So I'm sure he had a blast. My least favorite.
No extra points for Raquel Welch.
Oh, yes. This also answers the question, what did cave women look like? Well, they were damn hot, and they had 1966 hairstyles.
There you go.
Oh, yeah, Rockwell Welch, damn hot in it.
Yeah. And a Hammer film, I do want to mention. That's the
that's right.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Actually, looking at a list, I got a list of all the dinosaurs and creatures that are in all these movies. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 8 of them in this movie.
His creations, right?
Yeah, that he did effects for. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought is the turtle in this one, or is it in the other film? I don't remember.
Yeah, it's an Archelon.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I thought. Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. All right, Rich, you're number 15.
That was deciding because I watched First Man on the Moon and then Three Worlds of Gulliver, and I think Three Worlds of Gulliver is at 15 for the same reason that Ralph said. I just didn't find it that exciting. There's only 2 creatures in it. You know, when you're watching a Ray Harryhausen movie, you want to watch it for the creature show. Yeah, that makes my 15.
Yeah, it's my number 15.
I don't have any props from it because I just don't like it much.
Yeah, I quite frankly, I never owned it until I bought this set. It's a fun kind of kids movie, and I rewatched it again over the weekend, and it brought back, memories of when I was a kid, and it's got its charm to it. But again, as a Harryhausen film, needed a little more, right? But it's good, the Lilliputans and whatnot. It's a charming film, but I think for me, there's a big gulf between this film and everything else that we're going to talk about today. For me anyway. But it is fun. I do like it. I just don't like it nearly as much as the other ones. So that's also number 15 for me. Back to Ralph to number 14.
Okay, number 14, First Men in the Moon. I got one prop, and it's from like one of the best scenes of the movie.
Yeah.
The
The insect creatures.
Moon cow, I think they call it, right?
Let me see. I got the
basically
list.
there's a giant centipede, or not centipede, like a caterpillar or something.
Caterpillar.
Yeah, but they call it a moon cow for whatever reason.
In Dungeons and Dragons, they had a thing called a carrion crawler, and that's what it reminded me of. But yeah, it's H.G. Wells. Ray really wanted to do War of the Worlds, and he even did like some concept art for it, and he even animated a little bit of what he wanted the alien to look like. And then he tried to get the rights to Time Machine, and he couldn't get that. Someone else bought that, so he ended up going with this. And it's a great story. It's just I don't know. It's almost like a comedy at times. The scientist reminds me of like a Dr. Smith almost from Lost in Space. It's like gets kind of goofy, but it's still a fun movie. I liked it a lot better when I was a kid, but as I got older, it wasn't as good for me. But I still like it, and that's my number 14.
Yep, cool. Jamie,
number 14. It came from Beneath the Sea, which is on my box set that I also have. So I'll be referring to this. I wish there were bigger pictures I could show, but they're just really small on the back. It has the color and black and white version. Of course, on this one, I like my big monsters like this to be in black and white if that's how they were originally filmed. It's got stiff acting, I believe, in it. Sometimes I noticed when I rewatched it this past week, sometimes the actors actually stand next to one another, like they're in a Saturday Night Live bit where they're kind of looking at the audience, but kind of talking to one another, like Sonny and Cher used to do. Yeah, the best special effects would have to be the squid on the Golden Gate Bridge, coming over and crushing the police car. But the big tentacles coming over and crushing buildings is very cool too. So there you go. Number 14. I'm going to be quick on these, so we're not up all night, guys.
There you go. I hear you.
You guys, real quick, you guys know the story behind that octopus, right? It didn't have 8 tentacles and only had 6.
Yeah.
That's why it's half under the water all the time, because they didn't have enough money to do all the tentacles.
It's like, sorry, Ray, we can't give you that extra $500 to build those extra 2 appendages, right?
And we needed more of the beast in the first 2/3 of the movie.
Yeah.
Especially in the beginning when the sub is being held by the beast. There's no music. You don't see it. It's like, okay.
Yeah. But the whole scene with him crushing the Golden Gate Bridge is worth.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah, the
classic.
effects are great. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're cool.
Yeah. All right, Rich, what do you got for number 14?
First Man on the Moon. So I rewatched that today. Didn't find it all that exciting. There's only the caterpillar creature, and then you got the insect aliens, which I thought looked kind of cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought they worked. But all the same reasons that Ralph said. It's kind of goofy, kind of silly sometimes. The music kind of is out of place. Doesn't seem like it works all the time. I don't know. Didn't find it too memorable. So it's on my 14.
It's my number 14 as well. It's kind of fun, but it's too much of a comedy for me. It's supposed to be like a science fiction comedy type of thing, and I guess it works on that level. And I think the Harryhausen's work on this trog, I don't even remember what they call the creatures in here, besides for the big moon cow, but the other aliens, they look kind of neat. I kind of agree. It's pretty cool. And I think the female actress in this film was a Martha Heyer, I think her name was. She's pretty hot. But I mean, otherwise, it's funny. It's more of a comedy than anything else. Reminds me of like an old 60s Disney movie or something. It's not terrible. It's fun, but out of all of these films, it's definitely lower part of the list. So
they might be called Selenites. Maybe.
Selenites, that's it.
Selenite, yes.
Yeah, they absolutely are. What's weird is Ray Harryhausen does the animation of the leaders of the ones with the bigger heads, but yet the regular Selenites are all guys in suits. So,
Isn't that no, you're right. Cavorite is what they use to get to the moon.
Yes, yeah. So I think it's a good story. It's just it's a little too lighthearted for me, but it's not fun. I mean, it's not fun. But definitely not one of his better ones for me anyway. So back to Ralph, number 13.
Okay, it came from beneath the sea. It's a little bit slow. Definitely could have used more of the octopus in it. I do got one cool little prop. I got the octopus.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah. I almost bought more of those, but I find they were so small. I wish they were bigger. A lot of the little.
But they're so detailed. There's a lot of detail.
They are. Yeah.
I have a couple. Fragile.
Being small just leaves more room to buy more.
I know.
If you guys could find these when they did the vinyl run,
so good. Yeah.
These were almost like 20 years ago now, right? That they made these.
Yep.
And they're like not a soft vinyl, they're a hard vinyl, but you can still move the arms and the legs a little bit. But the sculpts are awesome.
Yeah.
Probably my favorite looking creature of his.
Oh, the best. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah.
Yeah, that whole run is good. In fact, Rich, before we started taping, right before you hopped on, we were talking about how there were rumors that after they did that whole first run of all of those, that they were going to do a second and get like a lot of the characters they didn't do in the first run. They never did.
Right. Yeah.
Those are great. those are so good.
Dragon awesome.
Yeah. And they were very affordable. Remember how they were really cheap when they first came out? They were expensive.
Yeah. I don't know how much they're going for now, but they're probably a few bucks, I bet, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. All right, very cool. Where were we? Who just went? Jamie, you're up. Yeah, Jamie.
All right, I might get some slack for this, but I'm going number 13. Don't hate me. I even have the lunchbox. Clash of the Titans.
Wow, really?
Yeah. You know what?
Cool lunchbox.
Yeah, I found this in a thrift store, believe it or not. Here's the thing. I saw it in the theater. My dad took me. I remember before the movie. Oh, so you might have had the same awful experience I did. We'll get to that. Before the movie, I told my dad, this is going to be better than Star Wars. And I walked out of there going, it wasn't better than Star Wars. And at the time, being 11 years old,
year was that? That was in the 80s.
81.
81, yeah.
81, right.
Yeah.
Which was the same year as Empire, right?
Yeah. Or was Empire 80?
80. That's right.
Yeah, Empire was 80.
Jedi was 83. They were 3 years apart.
Yeah. But I came out and I didn't, I was disappointed and I couldn't put my finger on why. During the movie, I'll never forget, I'm 11 years old sitting next to my dad. Fantasy movie, thinking I'm going to go see something like Star Wars. I see boobs next to my dad. I'm 11 years old. My God, it was the most uncomfortable feeling at the time I ever had. And then then it's past. You're like, at least that's over. At the end of the movie, more boobs in a butt. I'm like, oh my God.
And then after the film, your father's probably like, "Wow, I didn't know that was going to have that kind of."
We didn't speak of it. We
No?
did not. We still don't speak of it to this day. I asked them the other day because we were doing the show. I said, "You remember when we went to go see that?" And I explained, "Oh yeah, we still don't speak of the boobs." I think it's it's a bit of a bland script. Wooden acting. The characters aren't that interesting. Saved by Ray Harryhausen, of course. And it's funny, every movie after Star Wars needed its own R2D2. They had Buck Rogers. You had what was his name? Tweaky. Beady, 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 beady. Everyone needed that little so they got a robotic owl because that's what you needed.
Beady, 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 beady.
Yeah. So yeah, I had the figures when I was a kid. I had this Pegasus and what's his name? Perseus. I had all the figures. I was trying to like it, I think, more than I liked it. But the best special effects, Pegasus being trained is great. Release the Kraken is great, though I don't think in this movie they say that release the Kraken. That's in the newer one. But Medusa is what is the coolest scene.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah,
When I was a kid, that was almost better than Star Wars for half a second. And then
I think Medusa is arguably one of the greatest creations he ever did.
yeah.
It's not.
And all those snakes moving, this stuff takes patience, man.
The lighting in there and everything. It's
Yes.
awesome.
Her eyes,
Yep.
Yeah.
the reflection on the shield.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I hear you. Cool. All right, Rich. 13.
13 came from beneath the sea. All the same reasons you guys said. The creature's kind of cool. You don't see too much of it. Don't see enough of it. But when it's on screen, it looks great. Moves great. Not the greatest story, I don't think. It's not too exciting. Doesn't move too much. But you're there for the creature. So not one of my favorites, but enjoyable for what it is. So that's why it's at 13.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's my number 13 as well. There he is. There he is right there. I like it. I enjoy this film a lot. It's, I think, one of the first ones I ever saw back when I was a kid. And, I've got a soft spot for giant octopuses and whatnot. But yeah, it's not the most terribly exciting film in his filmography. But I think the octopus looks pretty cool, even though you don't really see the whole thing. And like I said, that the scene when he's on the Golden Gate Bridge is just absolutely amazing. And that's worth the price of admission. So yes, it's number 13. Really good, solid. I enjoy it, but he's got better, obviously. Back to Ralph.
That's one of his earlier ones. That's his third one from 1955.
Yeah, it is pretty early. Yeah, exactly.
1955.
Yep. Yeah. All right, Ralph, number 12.
Okay, number 12, 1 million BC. You think they would have put Big Dinosaur on the cover, but nope. Raquel gets
That
the
cover is just fine the way it is.
I got this magazine. Remember Chili Theater used to do full magazines at 18th
yeah.
century.
Yep.
This one they had 1 million BC as like the cover. But yeah, I love all the dinosaur stuff. I'm a big dinosaur fan ever since I seen King Kong when I was a little kid. I watch everything with dinosaurs. But yeah, it's a little bit goofy, like the whole way, like all these cave people just like, I don't know. I still go back and watch it, and just for the dinosaur parts, and I like it a lot. It just, got to rank these, so it's got to be back further than the other one. So
Never mind the whole logical thing about how humans and dinosaurs did not coexist, right? They will throw all that out the window, right?
Then we're back to talking about Iron Maiden and Quest for Fire.
I know, exactly.
Echoes of Monday night remained.
Oh, too funny. All right, Jamie, back to you.
I'm going back to my box set with Sinbad in the Eye of the Tiger. No, he does not fight Mr. T or Hulk Hogan. It's 1977. So it's kind of like Star Wars was 1977, and they're overlapping a little bit, kind of like in with the new, out with the old, maybe. I don't know how well this did it at the theater, but I don't remember it coming to the theater, but I remember Star Wars coming.
I think it did.
I saw it in the theater.
Did
Yeah,
you?
I'm pretty sure I
Okay.
went to the theater too, yeah.
Did it do well when it was released? I don't know.
Yeah.
Did it? Okay.
Pretty-
It's got clunky dialogue, and I couldn't put my finger on it, and then it hit me. Sinbad talks like Data from Star Trek, The Next Generation. And what I mean is Data does not use contractions. He doesn't say can't, won't. And Sinbad never says can't. He go, I will not. We cannot. No can'ts. I'm like, come on, man. Just give me one contraction. He won't do it. Watch the movie again and keep track. And some of the special effects seem a little bit rushed, especially when they're walking around the desert and around the caverns. When it's far away, the camera's far away, you see the back of some actors, and they're in the sand. But all the close-ups of the real actors, they're definitely in front of a screen. And it's very jarring, the back and forth of that. But, some great special effects. The great one is the bighorn caveman fighting the saber-toothed tiger. We do get a tiger in the movie.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Takes a while. And how refreshing is it that they come across a big monster and they become friends with them? What a nice change of pace. The nice guy, great. Oh, and the walrus is great. And those devil skeletons in the beginning are really
Yeah.
good. They almost made my favorite. You know what? I almost want to make the devil skeletons my favorite, but I'll go with
Had a different color jewel eyes, remember?
Yes, they're very cool.
Yeah.
Yep. And this got the Minotaur as well,
Oh yeah,
Right.
yeah.
The
really doesn't
Hornet,
do much of
Giant
anything.
Hornet, the giant hornet.
No,
Yep.
The giant hornet was in it.
Minotaur, and then he dies and he falls over, and the witch goes, "He served his purpose." And the first thing I yell is, "How are you getting back?" Bitch.
So as far as how this movie did, so this movie had a budget of 3.5 million and it made 20. So back in 77, that was pretty decent.
Okay.
Yeah, that was pretty decent.
Got overshadowed by Star Wars, though.
Oh yeah. I think Star Wars blew everything out of the water that year,
Mhm.
unfortunately. So, or fortunately. So, well, more about that film later. Rich, what do you got?
Go with the Emir movie, which is 20 million miles to Earth. What are we at? This is 12, right?
Yep.
12. Okay. Yeah, great creature, as you can see. You get to see the thing grow from a small creature when it comes to Earth and grow up to be, doesn't turn out to be too big because it fights the elephant, right?
Oh, but the elephant gets bigger. They make
Yeah.
the elephant bigger for like
Yeah.
a few scenes.
A little bit, not too big though, because this by the time it's big, it's fully grown. It's like,
I think they
Not
keep
quite like
shrinking
a-
him, and I don't know.
it's not quite like it's like a raptor, maybe a little bit somewhere in between like that, like a giant T-Rex or something. It's not overly large because
Oh, but when he's laying on that table, he's humongous.
Yeah, that is
humongous,
true.
yeah.
Yeah, that one scene he's really, it's very inconsistent with his size in that film.
Yeah. But when they're fighting in the arena, the scale looks a little better, I think, for size for the two of them.
Yeah.
Well, he's constantly growing. He's growing from the minute he comes out of the thing. And,
Right.
when he dies,
Yeah, but he
knows how
shrinks
big
after the table scene.
Yeah,
He
'cause you
fights
got
the
the-
elephant
yeah.
after the table scene.
Why did they always
big
have to feed the poor elephants to these creatures in these films? You ever notice that? They do it in
Yeah, I
Gwangji as
know.
well. Like, poor
Yeah.
elephant. He wasn't trying to harm anybody. It's like, oh man.
And he kills a
So-
dog.
He does kill a dog too. Yeah.
That's right.
You start to feel bad for the creature, and then you're like, you killed a dog and an elephant. You're a dick.
Yeah.
the dog attacked him, though.
True.
He was just
But-
defending him.
Yeah, that is true.
What'd you say, Ralph? I didn't get that.
He was just defending himself. The dog attacked
Oh,
him. The human attacked him. He could have
Yeah.
been another Trog if they just gave him a chance,
Yeah, that is
that's
true. Yeah, I
That's
think
true.
Yeah.
And then in the end, he burns down. He dies when the stadium burns down.
Yeah.
Oh, I see him.
All right, my number 12, we're on, right? My number 12, I like this film a lot. Again, I just like others better, a little better, I guess. Mysterious Island. A lot of fun. This is another, cool story. Got Captain Nemo in here and a lot of cool creatures, like giant bees and giant crabs and all sorts of things like that. This is a good, like, fantasy film about, this group of people who get shipwrecked on this island, or not shipwrecked, they're actually in a hot air balloon, right? So pretty fun film. I like it. It's a lot of fun, but that's my number 12. Back to Ralph.
All right, my number 11. From here on down, every one of these are just such a classic to me. It's like comfort food. All these movies, it brings me back to my childhood.
Yeah.
So the Valley of Gwangji, got the VHS. I got a Valley of Gwangji poster hanging behind me from the old Monster Time magazines. I pulled them out for this episode. So originally this was a Willis O'Brien project, and that was Ray got to be Willis O'Brien's assistant and learned a lot of the tricks from him. But O'Brien passed away, and then Harryhausen took it on and finished it. And it was a fun movie, great animation. I love the Allosaurus, and this is another great one by him, another great dinosaur one. That's my number 11.
Yeah, it's basically a Western with dinosaurs.
Yeah.
It's fun. Yeah, it's fun. Jamie, what do you got?
Going back to my box set for the Golden Voyage of Sinbad, 1973, sequel to the first one. Not as good as the first one, but still pretty good. We're getting into the good ones now, to me anyways. A lot of characters, big adventure, seems big. Caroline Munro, damn near perfect. I mean, I'm trying to find a flaw in her in this movie, and I can't find it. A blemish. Give me something. No, you're perfect. Okay. Later, she shows up as a Bond girl, I believe. In what is it? The Spy Who Loved Me.
Yep.
Best special effects. Six-arm statue, man.
Colleague.
Is nothing else. I mean, fighting multiple people, and he had to move each arm, 6 arms. Each one has a sword to match up with the actors. I don't know how long that took, if it took 5 months, 6 months, 8 months, but however long it took, it was worth it because we get to enjoy it the rest of our lives. Next generations get to enjoy it the rest of their lives. So 5-7 months doesn't seem like all that much, does it?
Yeah.
So, I like the little demon spy. What's his name? Cora?
Yeah.
And I kind of feel bad when he gets the arrow. And what a shot, too. Arrow through the flying little demon. So, and my cat loves that little demon, too, because when I watch it, he jumps up and tries to catch it on my TV.
Cool. Yeah, I think it really needs to be said how painstaking the whole process of doing these scenes with these creatures must have been. I mean, that scene, the skeleton scene from Jason the Argonauts. I mean, it's crazy when you think about it, because you have to basically move 1 little millimeter, take a shot of the camera, move it again, take a shot of the camera. It's just like doing cartoons, right? Except here you're moving these kind of posable figures. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, Rich, you've probably done some stuff like this when you were doing special effects back in the 90s. It's crazy, right? I mean,
well, I was telling you guys, Harryhausen is pretty much the reason why I did some of my own Godzilla figures. Like I did a Titanosaurus myself, which has an armature like he used to use underneath it. So yeah, I made this when I was like in high school. But it came out pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, I did a few Godzilla ones. I think I showed you, Pete, one of the shows. I did Titanosaurus, I did a Varan, Manda, and Kumonga, the spider. They turned out pretty awesome, I must say. I mean, this turned out great. So
how come you gave up? You never continued doing it anymore?
Well, when they were doing the line, you remember they used to do them in 90s, late 90s, Bandai was putting them out.
And yeah.
They did so many of them from the Godzilla monsters, and they didn't do all of them. And these ones were part of it, and then the Gargantuas they didn't do either. So I started doing it myself. It was all Harryhausen and all of his work, and the armatures and stuff, and I learned how to do it, and I just started making them myself. It was great little hobby, to get some skills up doing that part of art, sculpting.
Yeah, absolutely. No, they came out great. That's cool.
Thanks. I'd love to do the gargantuas. Maybe I'll do them one day.
You could, yeah.
Everybody's, Bandai and Toho keeps on putting out figures and stuff, and there's always statues coming out and everything. You know what I mean?
You creative son of a bitch.
So we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, Rich, what do you got for number 11?
Do you have the box? Somebody have it for Earth versus Flying Sorcerers? I don't have it here.
Yep, right here.
That's my next one. That's another one that I watched. Yes, I have that one that Ralph's got today. That was fun. I watched the black and white one because there's a color version, which I watched part of that, and that actually looks really good.
It does, and I got shit on Facebook for saying that.
Sometimes the transfer and the change to color doesn't work all the time for black and white, like House on Haunted Hill. I don't like the color version. I'd stick with the black and white. But the color version looks great. But black and white, when you watch it black and white, you could see definitely the limitations to doing the special effects.
The wires.
Yeah, and the flying saucer and the miniature stuff, and then what the actors are doing, live action compared to the miniature work. But the flying saucers still look cool when they're going through the sky. But a lot of the effects and everything, I don't think quite. This is another early one though. This is 1956.
Yeah.
So it's another one of his earlier ones. So his effects obviously got better as the movies went along. So great concept though. I like the plot, the idea. The aliens are awful looking. They're just stiff. They look like stiff styrofoam suits that are just, I don't know, it's like a bad Tin Man from The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
So aside from that though, I thought the ships were okay, and some of the effects are just fun and they're a little hokey, and sign of the times for then, and you could tell they're learning what they're doing there.
Yep. It's my number 11 too, but I think it's a load of fun. It's a pretty crazy film when you think about it. I mean, they're just like destroying Washington D.C. crashing through Yeah, I mean, it's amazing they let this film, that they made this film back in 1956.
And those miniatures of those buildings look great too, by the way.
They do. They absolutely.
Miniature buildings look awesome.
I would think if I was like a kid back in the 50s and I saw this movie, I would have been terrified with this film. It's like, oh my God, they're destroying DC. This is crazy. I don't know. I think the movie is a lot of fun, and I think it holds up really well. The aliens look awful, but I think those flying saucers look pretty cool. They're really big, and all the rays shooting out and making things disappear and stuff like that. I think it's a lot of fun. I think I hadn't seen this movie in a long time, and I enjoyed it more than I remember. So, but number 11 for me. I like it a lot. It came from Earth versus Flying Saucers. Back to Ralph.
All right, my number 10. I love this movie. Great alien all-out invasion. It has that War of the Worlds feeling that he wanted to do, and the destruction scenes where, when he was animating those buildings, like he had to animate each little piece of the building falling down. That was painstaking. And one of his big regrets is he wanted the aliens to be animated. And I heard something where I think they were going to have tentacle arms and stuff, but then it came down to money and time. And these were real low budget movies, especially the ones that he did early on in the 50s. But I still love it. I think this is a big influence to a lot of the alien invasion movies that came later. And I like that they weren't friendly and they came to take over. And I love it. It's a fun movie to watch.
Yeah, I agree. Very cool.
What year was War of the Worlds? Around the same time?
Movie or the radio broadcast? Movie?
Movie was what year? It's around this time or no?
I'll find out. War of the Worlds.
Before, even though it's color. Right around it.
This is 56. So
yeah.
Gotta be like 54.
The broadcast was in the 30s.
Yeah, the broadcast was early, yeah. Because there's a lot of these type of films that came out right around the same time.
And the remake was what, 2004?
somewhere around there, yeah.
Yeah.
I like the remake.
Yeah, remake's pretty good.
I agree. 1953, actually.
Ah, it's 1 year off.
3 years before. Yeah.
Hmm.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
All right,
Who
Jamie.
just went?
Ralph just went, so you go.
All right, my number 10, you guys had it low, but I'm going with the Three Worlds of Gulliver. It's kind of a sweet, innocent, silly movie that makes me feel like a kid on a Sunday morning. I do like how, I don't know how close it is to the original story because I don't know the original story. I never read the book. No one ever told it to me. Do you guys know how, is it close to it? Is that the story, or did they change up something? I don't know.
I have no
I
idea.
do like how when he wakes up and all the miniature people are around him and he's tied down, he doesn't freak out. He just goes, "Excuse, where am I?" Not, "Holy crap, these people are 1 inch tall." Just, "Where am I? I obviously made a wrong turn somewhere. You know where I am." And he goes to the big, I didn't know until really seeing this movie that there was big people in it too.
Yeah.
So, and I do like, he has to, the big king and the big magician make him deny science and everything he knows about science. And he goes, he's a doctor. He's like, "All right, I know nothing about science. I believe your superstitions." Wow, this movie was made in 1960 meet 2022. Wow, that had a little bit of a best special effects when he fights the alligator, the baby alligator, of course. But as a close second, something maybe people wouldn't talk about is when he's singing outside the house. It looks really good. It looks like he's huge and sitting next to a small house with people on, the little porch thing or whatever you call it, terrace, something like that. It looks good.
Yeah, the effects are good in the film. They used a lot of different matte effects for that movie, which I think was pretty groundbreaking at the time. There's like a documentary on the film in the Blu-ray.
Right.
He talks about that, which is cool. I mean, that was the one good thing. I think Harryhausen did lots of documentaries where he talked about each of these films and all the special effects that went into it, which I think is pretty fascinating to watch.
Yeah, most of them actually does. Like I'm looking at Mysterious Island and it's listed there. Most of them have the making of and behind the scenes how they did all these special effects.
And how lucky were we to have him live as long as he did to get like him talking over the movies on some of these discs?
Yeah, the commentaries. Yep.
The commentaries, yes.
Between the Ray
very
Harryhausen
lucky
files and the commentaries, yeah, he did all that stuff. And
the Mysterious Island one, I think it is. He's old, he's coughing, but he's there and he's talking about it.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, these indicator Blu-ray editions are pretty good. They have lots of cool special effects on them.
Yeah,
which is neat. All right, Rich, what do you got for number 10?
When I was just showing you guys, going with Mysterious Island. It's in my top 10. One of those movies that definitely influenced me to start sculpting my own monsters with those creatures. The crab and the what is it called? The cephalopod and the bee. Love the whole bee sequence too. That's really good. Yeah, I really enjoyed this one. Very adventurous, great special effects, captures the imagination. Definitely one of those Saturday afternoon movies I used to watch. They used to be on TV all the time too, if you remember.
Oh, yeah.
We were growing up in the 80s. They were playing all of the Harryhausen movies all the time.
Yep. Yeah, I think I saw all these on TV first, with the exception of, I think, Clash of the Titans and Golden Voyage, which I saw, and Seventh Voyage I saw in the theaters as well. But all these other ones were played on TV constantly.
And that's 1B. They could only afford to make 1B in that movie. And they just did a split screen to make it look like 3.
Yeah. Great scene, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. My number 10 is Valley Gwangji. Loads of fun. Like I said, it's basically a Western with some dinosaurs, and specifically Gwangji, the T-Rex. And, again, it's another one of these stories, and you get this a lot in a lot of these films where, man messes around with nature and takes something out of where it's supposed to be. And then we know what happens at the end. So Gwangji's kind of sympathetic, although, again, they fed a dinosaur, an elephant to him, which, I was always kind of upset about as a kid. But yeah, it's a great, fun film. More of a Western, but great dinosaur effects. And I think Ray did a fantastic job on here. So that's my number 10. Back to Ralph.
All right, my number 9, I'm going with 20 Million Miles to Earth, my old VHS version. I got my model that I built and painted up. I did a black and white version of them. I got the little toy of him on the table.
Oh, that's cool.
Talking about
Does he have a name? He has.
Emir.
Emir, yeah.
Oh, does he?
They never say it in the movie though, so people don't know if it's Ymir or
Okay.
Emir. I always heard it called Emir. And I got another little one. But yeah, I always wonder, I like to think about like how big he would have kept growing if they didn't kill him, It would have become more and more powerful, but he died pretty easily. But a great creature. Love the animation on this one. And just another great one by Ray.
Yeah, good stuff. His roar is really cool too, right? Yeah, good film. I like it a lot. Jamie, back to you.
Number 9, Mysterious Island. Is it a sequel to 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea? I don't know. The submarine looks an awful like the one in the Disney movie. Yep. I wasn't, by accident, I'm sure. They don't have James Mason though as Captain Nemo. They got Herbert Lom, yep. And he does a good job. One thing that does not make sense in this movie is the seashell scuba gear. They put a shell on their head and all of a sudden and a shell on their back and underwater they go. No problem whatsoever there. There's a big gap here. I guess maybe, the shell stays on, you get that, that air pocket in there. I don't know. Beth Rogen, quite the hottie in there. There is a lot of hotties in these movies, that are worth mentioning. I like the different personalities of the soldiers bouncing off one another. I love the colors. The colors of the chicken is great. The colors when they're in the cave, the pinks, purples, blues, all look really cool.
Yeah, lighting is good in this movie.
Yeah.
The great score by a dude, what's his name? Bernard Herrmann. He did a lot of Hitchcock movies and Citizen Kane. So yep. Big time guy there. I'm gonna go, it's easy with the best special effects. It's easy to go with the bees. I also think the squid is really good in the shell. Yep. But what impresses me the most is the balloon crash over the ocean. I think it looks very real. The water, they're real close to the ocean and the water's coming up and they're cutting away the balloon and you see the balloon float away and they're all wet and the water's coming up. I think it's great looking. So I'm going with that.
Cool.
So that was number 9.
Fun film. All right, Rich, back to you.
All right. 8, right? Or 9?
9.
Okay, yeah. Golden Voyage, Sinbad. Pretty much all the same reasons you guys said. Another one of those movies. I always enjoyed it because of the fantasy aspect of it and the storytelling of it. I think is pretty cool. And the creatures are great. And Kali, the centaur, the griffin. Yeah, good special effects too. I thought this another one of those movies that captured my imagination as a kid. So it's got definitely a special place for me. Always.
Cool. More about that later. Number 9, Clash of the Titans. I got all the Titans films on one Blu-ray here. That's the original down below. Again, I saw it at the theaters. I still have very fond memories of it. I think the Kraken is great, and I just absolutely love Medusa. Sometimes some of these films rank for me because of how much I love the monsters in it. And some of those scenes are just really, really good. And it's my number 9.
What were you, 16 at the time, maybe?
So that was what year did we say that came out?
81.
81, so I was 15.
15.
Yeah, I was 15.
So you didn't have to see it with your dad.
No, I went by myself and enjoyed immensely the little bits of nudity in there. And I was like, whoa, she's hot. Yeah, creatures are cool. So's the chick, That was kind of my line of thinking at the time. But yeah, good fun. Good fun. And his last film. That was the last film.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah. All right, Ralph. Number 8.
I got to show this on my last pick. One of my old Monster Times magazines.
Oh yeah, look at that.
They came with the they always had posters in them and stuff. Early 70s stuff. But so my number 8 is Mighty Joe Young. This is the first movie I ever seen by Ray Harryhausen. They used to play it every Thanksgiving with Son of Kong and King Kong.
Yep.
And I only had one TV in my house back then, and my brother and my dad were big sports fanatics, and they always wanted to watch sports, but I would throw tantrums if they didn't let me do my whole King Kong day every Thanksgiving. And great memories of that. I got to meet Terry Moore, main actress at Chiller back in the 90s. I believe she's still alive. But yeah, it's a lot friendlier version than the King Kong and stuff, but the animation's great. Ray was Willis O'Brien's assistant, but they say he did like 85% of the animation to help build the Mighty Joe Young. And the tug of war scene with the wrestlers, Primo Canera, throwing the lions around, it's just a great movie. A lot of fun. Love it.
Yep. Yeah, I think you're right. I think especially for those of us living in the New York area, I think we've been watching Mighty Joe Young since we were little kids, right? Because it played. You always got those 3 movies every holiday season without fail. So I used to watch this over and over and over and over again throughout my entire life. So yeah. Jamie, what do you got for number 8?
You guys, I got it kind of high at number 8. First Men in the Moon. It makes 0 sense, this movie. If you're looking for sense, it ain't here. But it's the characters.
Let's just hop in a weird sphere, and all of a sudden we're going to wind up on food, right? Yeah.
So here they go. It reminds me a little bit of the Absent-Minded Professor, but instead of flubber, you got the cavorite, and it blocks gravity. So whatever you put it on, it starts to float. So they put it on a pod, and they all get in the pod. And of course, it starts to float because it repels gravity. It goes straight to the moon. How do they navigate it? We don't know. But we do know if you open a blind, it starts to go to the sun. Open the blind, goes to the sun. Close the blind, we back on course to the moon. Makes no sense. They don't suffocate in there.
Nope.
There's no bathroom in there. And it repels gravity until they get to the moon. And it lands perfectly on the moon. No problem there.
But they brought a couple chickens.
Yeah, and the space suits, they have no gloves on. The pants are just tucked into the boots loosely. But we got our helmet on, so we're good to go.
Sometimes they have the helmets on because they take them off quite a lot in that film.
Yeah, this is almost part of the charm of the movie, I think, for me. But it's kind of a likable story. I have fun with the characters. The doctor is goofy, it's all hell, but I kind of like him. I don't think I should like him, but I kind of do. It's a comedy, and I chuckled a few times, and I was having fun with it. I'd never seen this one until we started to do this. I had to fill in a gap or two, and this was one of the gaps. Best special effects, you could go with, what is it called? The Moon Cow?
Moon Cow, yeah.
But I'm gonna go with there's the moon bugs things. There's guys in suits, and then there's stop motion ones. I'm gonna go with those stop motion ones. They look pretty cool, and they blend in pretty well with the guys in the suits. Not too jarring.
Cool. All right, Rich, number 8.
Another Sinbad one, 7th Voyage of Sinbad. Again, one of my favorites because of the creatures and the effects. So this was the fight between the Cyclops and the dragon, right? Dragon, which I got. Great looking dragon. That was a good fight too. Good special effects, I think, also for that, right?
Yeah.
For that fight.
Yeah.
I think that worked. And I think the sets look really good in this movie too. The locations that they shoot, for the special effects and the live action stuff. I think it looks really nice in this movie.
I'd agree.
So yeah, I remember watching this growing up all the time too, with Golden Voyage and Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger, all those movies, Mysterious Island. So yeah, that's why it's easily in my top 10.
Kerwin Matthews playing Sinbad in this. He also played Gulliver in 3 Worlds of Gulliver. Yeah, he's a pretty popular actor at the time. All right, I'm going to go number 8, Mighty Joe Young from 1949. Again, everything Ralph said, I totally agree. This movie's a lot of fun. And I think for me, especially growing up as a kid, one of the reasons why I love this movie so much, I love giant gorillas, but Kong and Son of Kong both die. Here, Young lives. It's a happy ending. So I always will have a special place in my heart for this movie because it's a good feel-good film, and there's, the gorilla doesn't die at the end of it. So yeah, a lot of fun. Good movie. Mighty Joe Young.
Perfect for Thanksgiving, and that's why
Yeah,
they played it.
I mean, yeah, it's like you it's almost like when you have a Thanksgiving and there's no Mighty Joe Young, you're like, well, something's missing. You got to have those three films, right? It's like one
Yeah.
after one. Yeah,
And if you remember, the next day they would do a Godzilla marathon.
Godzilla, right?
Yep.
See, Jamie, if you grew up here in the New York area, that's what you got on the holidays, man. You
Yeah,
got,
Pittsburgh played a lot of that too.
they did by you, yeah.
Oh
It's
yeah.
tradition.
Godzilla was on every Sunday.
Yeah, yeah.
I just never knew which one I was watching. You know, that's the one with that monster. I didn't know the titles for some reason. I don't know.
All right, Ralph, number 7.
Yeah, King Kong is my favorite movie of all time. I got a tattoo, them fighting the dinosaur.
Oh, nice. Wow.
Awesome.
And I used to cry when King Kong hit the little bumps on the way down from the Empire State Building. I used to destroy me. I wanted him to live, you know.
I still get upset. I'm 56 years old. I watched it recently. I'm like, oh man, well, they got to kill him
Yeah,
off. I'm like,
just stop at the last.
I've watched Kong
five
die
seconds.
more times than any other being on any other film in my life. It's crazy.
Yeah, I probably watched that more than any other movie except for maybe Star Wars and maybe Abbott and Costello meets Frankenstein. But
Oh, that's my,
right, so
that's
my
my number one. That's my number one. Yeah.
my number 7 is Sinbad, Eye of the Tiger. I got the triple collection back in the day, the Sinbad movies. Yeah, these Sinbad movies, they like growing up like as a kid playing Dungeons and Dragons, like the Sinbad movies were like adventures. Same thing with Jason and the Argonauts and Clash of the Titans. They all, if you like Dungeons and Dragons, you love these movies. They were like as close as you got to playing Dungeons and Dragons. So yeah, this movie was overshadowed by Star Wars. You know, it was such a blockbuster that people kind of forgot about this movie. But there was one actor who was in both movies. Does anybody know who the actor was? He's in Sinbad and he's in Star Wars in the same year.
Good question.
Not Alec Guinness.
Rich is cheating. He's trying to look it up. Nope, but it was a Peter Mayhew.
Trick question.
Yeah, exactly.
He was in the suit. He was in the Minotaur suit.
Ah,
That's right.
Look at that. That's cool.
Scenes were a suit, and the other half were Harryhausen. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
He was a suit guy.
His Minotaur and his little son. And yeah, I love this movie. I mean, it was the first one I ever got to see in the theaters, and it made a big impact on me. Yeah, just another classic. Love it.
Yep. Yep. Very cool. All right, Jamie, number 7.
Earth versus the Flying Saucers from my box set. Rich, I want you to know that Pete posted that he was watching it on Facebook, and I made the comment, I like the color version. I think it looks good. And I got a lot of shit, but I like the color version of this. It's got explosions, it's got rays, it's got the force fields. It looks good.
it looks better with color, don't you think?
Hey, is anyone going to sue me if I say that? I don't want to be sacrilegious, but it kind of does. You know what? I kept going back and forth. Guess what I landed on? Color the other day. I kept watching it in color.
Yes.
So yeah, sue me. It you know what? But if I would have saw it in black and white, it still looks good in black and white. I still like the black and white. But if I was a kid back then, and what was it, 1956, I think I would have been blown away by this movie as like a 10-year-old, 9-year-old. In the theater, are you kidding me? It's hokey, but only maybe by today's standards. Back then, I don't know how hokey it was. Do you think kids today in 2022 would like these movies? Some of these movies? No, like even like 6 or 7-year-olds, they're too spoiled.
Maybe. But
Maybe.
you know what? I know, like my 6-year-old grandson, I'd see the stuff that he watches. He'd probably think some of these are boring,
cheesy, and dumb.
Yeah. I don't know.
I had a nephew, and I played him all the old Godzilla movies, and I didn't think he would like them, and he loved them.
Really?
So I think these still have the magic. It depends on if they've been desensitized with all the CGI and stuff first, you know. But if they're young enough, I think the magic is still there for these movies.
I would like to.
How does it look? Because I don't have it on Blu-ray, Jamie. How does it look on Blu-ray? Do you see does it look, fake, or does it make it look a little more natural?
Maybe I mentally blocked out the strings, but I didn't really.
Okay.
noticed them.
I think it looks pretty good.
Maybe I gotta watch it again.
Notice-
Maybe.
You notice some of the, I mean, even
Yeah.
Ray even talks about it a little bit in one of the documentaries. So you can see some of the imperfections and you can see some of the
Right. Well, yeah.
things, but it's still, I think it looks really
You
good.
see imperfections in all these. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm grading it on its year too.
Yeah.
The alien voice I find interesting. It's by a guy named Paul Frees, who Mel Blanc called the man of 1,000 voices. And this guy, I Googled him. He did The Thing in the original Fantastic Four cartoon. He did a lot of the Rankin Bass Christmas specials, like the villains and stuff. He was Toucan Sam in the commercials. He was Booberry, which was like a take on Peter Lorre. He was the Pillsbury Doughboy. And for this movie, I swear to God, he's doing an Orson Welles voice. Like, I thought it was Orson Welles, for a long time. It's like, is it a tribute to War of the Worlds? Did he do that on purpose? I tried Googling to find out. I couldn't find anything. Maybe not. Best special effects. When the saucers are flying over the cities of the world and everything. I mean, when it's by the White House, you got to think the makers of Independence Day saw that and said, we can work with that one. We're going to put that right in the trailer during the Super Bowl. And I remember that trailer during the Super Bowl. We were all like, wow, it blew up the White House. I also like the saucer on the beach when it's really big, because it looks like it's on the beach and you see the people looking down up at it. I like the simple effects sometimes because they look the most real.
Yeah.
The worst special effects is when they're running in the forest fire and they're
Yes, I noticed that.
they're
Yes.
literally
You can
like
see
this,
the
running it, and
thing
the
behind
screen
it.
is
Yeah, I
moving
totally noticed
by
that
them.
too.
Yeah, they're looking at each other. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Ooh, that's a little bad. But you know what? This guy, Ray Harryhausen, I like to think of him as the MacGyver of special effects. I've never seen an episode of MacGyver, but I always assumed it was he's in a predicament and he has limited resources and he gets out of it with a safety pin and a watch or something. He wasn't in that predicament with limited resources because of where he was, but when he was, he had limited technology. Here's your limited technology. Now, and let's see how creative he could be by making it happen. And that's the beauty of these movies.
Yeah. Yeah. He did some amazing things with probably very limited resources. In most
Yes.
Yeah. I would agree. All right, Rich, what do you got for number 7?
Going with, I'm just looking at the book. I was looking for stuff from the Earth versus the Flying Sorcerers, what he was talking about. Valley Gwangji. Love the dinosaur, which is an Allosaurus, as they listed as. And that's a great fight with the Styracosaurus.
Yep.
I thought that was great special effects. And it was fun too, because you were crossing over dinosaurs with cowboys. When did you see that? That was cool too. So another favorite of mine for that, and for the great special effects in that fight between the dinosaurs. I was such a dinosaur person when I was growing up and learning it in school. And then when you see them on the big screen like that, and they looked so real and they moved so real for the time, I was so sold on it. Yeah, so another one of my favorites for that. A couple of reasons.
Which is why Rich is probably going to rank my number 7 even higher, 1 million years BC. Chock full of dinosaurs. I mean, I grew up on this film, and I agree with everything Jamie and Ralph said. It kind of hokey, and it doesn't really make a lot of sense from a historical perspective. And there's no dialogue except for a lot of grunting and all the what little things they do say.
I got First Man in the Moon, and that makes no sense whatsoever in my top 10. So.
Some of these don't really make a lot of sense. Yeah, but Raquel Welch looks amazing in here. The dinosaurs are absolutely terrific. And as a kid growing up who loved dinosaurs, I just love this film. And I'm a huge Hammer Films fan. And this is kind of like this. And Hammer's got like maybe 4 films that deal with like prehistoric era stuff. And I love them all.
When dinosaurs rule the earth.
Absolutely. And Harryhausen was supposed to do the effects on that, but he was busy with something else. So they got the other guy in whose name escapes me, but he did a bunch of things too. And that's a terrific film also, but hokey just like this. But that is my number 7. Raquel, otherwise known as 1 million years BC.
Before we go on real quick, here's the picture I was looking for. Great shots from first Flying Sorcerers and how real that looked.
Yep.
And the effective, it looks great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know, too, I think if you're someone who hasn't seen Earth versus the Flying Saucer in a while, and you're thinking about all these Harryhausen films where normally, 99% of the time he's doing like creatures, monsters, and dinosaurs, you think, the Flying Saucer film's probably not all that good. It's just a bunch of flying saucers. When you haven't seen it in a while and you rewatch that film, it's really impressive what he did in that movie. Really impressive. Yeah. All right, Ralph, what do you got for number 6?
Okay, number 6, I'm gonna go with Clash of the Titans. The only other movie I've seen in the theaters. So many monsters. Another great Dungeons and Dragons like adventure is the novel that came out around the same time.
Is that Alan Dean? Is that Alan Dean Foster, Ralph?
The book?
Yeah, did he write that?
Yes.
Yeah, he did a lot of those adaptations. Yeah, he's good.
I got a little Medusa fridge magnet.
Nice.
I got my little Calibus action figure. I don't have the Kraken you talked about earlier. I wish I did.
The 1981 Kraken.
Yeah. Yep.
You got about $4,000.
Yeah, no, right.
Yeah. I don't know anybody who's got it. Probably Chris Allen if he likes it. I don't know. Seems like he has all that kind of stuff.
He'd say, "Oh, I bought it for $100 back in 1994. It's up in the attic somewhere. I don't know where."
Yeah, I got a lot of Medusa stuff around my house.
Yeah.
One of the greatest animated characters ever, and just a great thing from mythology. They had that old movie, The Gorgon, back in the day, and it was like a woman with like rubber snakes bouncing around, This is from the remake, which I thought the remakes were pretty weak, They just don't have the same magic. But I had to get the Medusa bobblehead just because I love Medusa. A couple more Medusa stuff over here. I don't know if this thing still works. It doesn't work no more. That thing used to move, the snakes used to move around on it. A couple more Medusa things. But yeah, that's my number 6.
Very cool. All right, Jamie.
I'm going with the Valley of Gwangji as number 6. It's almost like 1969. The Western was kind of going by the wayside a little bit. Even though my favorite Western of all time was made in 69, Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid, one of my favorite movies of all time. But they were like, let's throw in some dinosaurs. Maybe that will spice things up. It's fun. You got a bunch of, Tuck. Tuck is the hero, but he's kind of like an anti-hero where he wants to get rich. He reminds me a little bit of early Han Solo in the first Star Wars, where I'm going to be the hero, but am I going to get some money too?
Yep.
And it kind of reminds me of King Kong and Mighty Joe Young a little bit, but with a T-Rex.
Yep.
But I love the scene, where they got the T-Rex in the cage, kind of like, the King Kong and Mighty Joe Young, they're going to present him to the crowd. And when the curtain goes up, he's got a little dude in his mouth. And they're like, drop the curtain. It is, and when, and you watch it, you go, that little dude better be in his mouth. It is. Best special effects is the T-Rex in the church, because I especially like the little touch they give to his roar. The roar has an echo like it should in a church. And fighting the elephant's really cool. And like I said, the elephant gets big, as big as a T-Rex all of a sudden. And the pterodactyl picking up the boy from the horse and flying off with the boy is a pretty good effect too. But I like the movie.
I think the scene in the church where you have the woman and the child are like hiding around the corner, and the Allosaurus, not T-Rex, is kind of.
Oh, sorry.
You hear the dum, dum, dum of the feet and the tail dragging around. It's great use of sound effects in that, I think. And you hear his little like kind of snort and stuff as he's peering around the corner looking for them. And that whole final scene when the church goes up in blazes and the dinosaur is like screaming and getting burned and everything. Really effective. You kind of feel bad for him, but
you feel bad for a lot of these.
Yeah, absolutely.
And any dinosaur with little hands, I go, T-Rex.
All right, Rich, what do you got for number 6?
All right, Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger. I remember seeing that in the theater. Love the special effects, and I think most of it works really well. And even the stuff that's shot on location, matched up with when they go back to the miniature stuff, I think a lot of that works really well. Kind of like Clash of the Titans when they do the Medusa stuff. I think it works, pretty darn well. And if you can get this book, which I keep looking at, I forgot how great it is because there's all this production stuff, and you can see how much work Harryhausen put into this stuff with all the drawings and everything.
Yeah.
With all the detail and the texture and everything. Right?
Yep. Yeah.
That's a cool book.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a great book. So much great production art in here. And you just appreciate what he did, like the tiger. Look at how great that sculpt is for that tiger.
Yeah. He storyboarded everything out, like
Yep.
what you do when you're doing a cartoon.
Yeah.
He did.
And when you see the tiger in this movie, you can see the hair. He even moved the hairs on its body as it was fighting and moving around, articulated all that stuff. It was incredible.
And you see on the Blu-ray, Rich, you see it even better.
I'm sure. Yeah, I need to.
I always kind of assumed the hair moved by accident on that because they couldn't control it, but you're saying he controlled it.
I'm sure he did something with air, a fan, or just moving it the hair, maybe hair by hair. He was doing little clumps or something.
Yeah, and you can
I don't
see
remember. I have to go back and watch it
You
again.
can see of the saber-tooth tiger. You can see the whiskers moving and stuff from scenes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yep, and even around the
Golden
muscles and
was
stuff,
on
you see it move.
Good stuff. Yeah, that's my number 6 as well. I still have fond memories of it. I remember, like I said, I saw it in the theaters, loved it. I think the big fight between the troglodyte and the saber-toothed tiger is fantastic. That whole scene in that pyramid or whatever the hell you call it is pretty damn cool. Yeah, the temple. Yeah, really cool. I like this film a lot. I think it's a lot of fun. And yeah, that's my number 6. Top 5. Here we go.
All right.
Good stuff.
Number 5, Golden Voyager Sinbad. Got the centaur and the griffin battling it out.
You can make your own movie with all these.
Pretty much.
And some patience.
Yeah.
Another little centaur guy. And I have where the hell's my griffin? The griffin, he's been falling apart a little bit. But I got another little griffin. And I even got I think that, yeah, this one was in it, the Moculus.
Oh yeah, I forgot about him. Yeah.
And in the beautiful Caroline Monroe, I got to meet her. I ended up getting a Hammer movie picture though. Got her autograph on there. Yeah, again, another great like Dungeons and Dragons like adventure. Love the Sinbad. I remember when they made the TV series in like the early 2000s, I guess. But man, that was awful. But I like looked forward to it. I was thinking, oh man, if they did this right, this could be great. Ongoing adventures of Sinbad. But man, it was like Hercules and the Xena and all that crap. But yeah, that's my number 5.
Cool. All right, Jamie.
My number 5 is 20 Million Miles to Earth, 1957. Another movie that doesn't make a lot of sense some of the time. You gotta love when the rocket ship from the astronauts, they're coming from Venus and they crash into the ocean and there's a bunch of fishing boats around them. No waves. Fishing boats are doing fine. Still water. It just went like a diver at the Olympics. Hey, Miley. The monster is in it quite a bit. You got to love that about the movie. Yes, it grows, it gets big, it gets small, it gets big. It's always supposed to be growing, but it does change scene to scene. I also like how they say it has no lungs. It just has tubes throughout its body. But then when it's on the table, right, the chest is going up and down.
Definitely breathing on that table. Yep.
Yeah, but most of the tubes are right here. Okay. All right, we got you. We got you, Ray. It's fun to rewatch. It has a lot of rewatchability to it. Best special effects, you got to go with fighting the elephant. In the cars. I think they crush cars and all kinds of things. but on top of the Colosseum is also very cool when he's throwing rocks down or boulders or whatever they are. Yeah. So yeah, fun movie. Love it.
Cool. All right, Rich, you're number 5.
All right. 1 million years BC from 1966. A lot of great dinosaurs, and that fight with the Ceratosaurus and the Triceratops, still, when I watch that, still looks great. You can't even see like mistakes or imperfections. And especially when, if you guys remember the shot when Raquel Welch and the other cavemen are looking through the rock at the fight, and they're going across it, and they're in the background and they're in the foreground, like the perspective and everything looks awesome. And they actually show you the storyboard here in the book too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's such a great sequence. One of my all-time favorites for being a dinosaur fan. You know, and you got a lot of dinosaurs too. You got a Triceratops, the Archelon, Brontosaurus, a pterodactyl, 2 kinds of pterodactyls in that too. The Ceratosaurus, the baby pterodactyls. So even though, you know, there's no dialogue or anything, there's just grunting and everything, there's really nothing to the movie. But if you're waiting for the dinosaur scenes, you know, and being a young person and being a fan of it, you know, and of course Raquel Welch was so pretty, so
Yeah.
the other plus, you know, I still a favorite. You know, I was young and I was into dinosaurs and I was 100% on board. So
I hear you.
one of my all-time
I
favorites.
still feel the same way. So I totally dig that film.
I was
That
trying
one
to think
like,
of
go back to that. What, Jamie?
I was trying to think of another caveman movie, and the only one I could come up with was the one with Ringo Starr. Well, I've never seen it, but that's the only, not including, what was that, the Croods or something, that animated one that came out about 10 years ago. That's the only other one I could think of.
Too. That was a Hammer movie. That was another one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh
it's-
yeah.
Dinosaur-
It's very similar to this. Very similar.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it was stop motion too. Dinosaurs.
Yeah.
All right, my number 5, Jason the Argonauts. I know probably some of you are ranking that higher. Yeah, I know that might seem kind of sacrilege. And that is, God, where's Jason on here? I don't even know where it is on here. Anyway, there's the film right there. It's killer. I mean, and here you've got the multi-headed Hydra. And
Yeah, there's on the cover.
Yeah, you got skeletons in here and lots of cool stuff. It's a lot of fun. To me, it goes in line with all the Jason movies. I mean, with the Sinbad movies, they're kind of like all very, very similar. I think my only wish that there's the scene where they're in the boat and they're going through the canal, and the mountains on each side are coming in, and the big god of the ocean comes in and he helps hold all the rocks so they can get through. Part of me always wishes that they would have done stop motion for him instead of just having a guy there with the crown on and just, you know, doing
Like
this.
Neptune.
Oh, look,
Yeah.
here's a cool shot from on set. Check that out. Harryhausen working with the actor.
Yep, there you go.
It looks good though. I mean,
Yeah, it came out good.
it's kind of
Yep.
like in the dinosaur movie, how they have the lizards and the stop
Yeah.
motion.
Yeah. But it's the movie's a lot of fun. There's, like I said, there's really cool creatures in it. It's exciting, and you know, so it could have ranked higher, but I don't know. I just, the ones higher, I think I just like a little bit more. So back to Ralph, number 4.
I forgot to show Callie from the last pick that I had.
Oh, there you go. Yep.
Ah, cool.
I have that stuff.
Yeah, me
You
too.
should have came with the swords. It would have been cool to have all the swords with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's before it comes to life, maybe.
Yeah.
She had swords did she have swords when she was a statue? Or did she find the
No.
swords?
It comes like magically in her hands after she
Okay.
does the
Yeah,
She
that's what I
starts
thought.
Yeah.
time to battle. All of a sudden they come popping out, kind
Right.
of like that Star Wars movie later on. That the General Grievous, he kind of did almost the same kind of thing. You could see the influence. And I forgot this one too, the Harpy from Clash of the Titans.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, those were great. Yeah.
That's a good scene for the film. Yeah, I forgot about that.
So yeah, my number 4, I'm going with Mysterious Island. I love this movie. To me, it's almost like they went back to Skull Island because, you know, they weren't like prehistoric animals so much. I mean, the bird was like a prehistoric animal, but it was just giant overgrown creatures, and it felt like a return to Skull Island for me. I got this. Ray got to make up for his. It came from beneath the seas, and he's got all the tentacles on this one. He's holding the guy with the seashell helmet. I bet you they could have worked on the moon those helmets too.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, it's such a. I love the bee scene where building the hive, and the Nautilus looks great, and
Yeah.
I love it. It's a great movie.
Great colorful film. And it looks amazing on Blu-ray. Looks really good.
The soundtrack is really awesome too, which really goes for a lot of his movies. The music really helps out with everything.
Absolutely. All right, Jamie, number 4.
Going with Jason and the Argonauts. Is that kind of low? I don't know. You had it at
Well, I
5.
thought the same thing for me. Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
felt low.
I mean, but it doesn't suck. I mean, it's a great
Yeah.
movie.
hey, it's top 5. Top 5 is pretty damn good.
Yeah, I mean, and it's just not Jason and the Argonauts. You got a lot of hot chicks in this movie too. It's just not a bunch of sweaty dudes. And you always had the dancing girls in these movies. The 30-second dancing girl. You got it in here. And you got Pussy Galore's Hera. Yeah, you know what? It's a great adventure, and like Ralph was saying, it reminds you of Dungeons and Dragons because it goes adventure to adventure. They're almost like chapters, and you can almost put a bookmark in there. Or we're going to continue this tomorrow to Dungeons and Dragons. Remember, we just got to this part, and we'll continue there. The movies are kind of like that. Best special effects, of course, is the skeletons coming out of the ground. Done a lot better than what I did here. You can tell Ray Harryhausen is having a blast with that, and you can tell all the movies that were influenced by that. Army of Darkness, one of my favorite movies, straight from that. I mean, in this one, I believe they're cutting off heads and the heads going off and stuff, so they're having a blast. But there's I like the Merman coming out. I like the 7-headed Hydra. The 2 flying demon-like creatures when they capture them in a net is really cool. Yeah. And of course, when
Harpies.
Hercules is a dick in this movie.
He is.
And I know. And they tell that, what is it? The Talus. Don't mess around with them, and it comes to life, and that's pretty good. And it picks up the ship.
That's a great scene, actually.
Yeah, that is a great scene.
Yeah, that's a great shot there, Rich. Yeah, look at that. Classic stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. All right, Rich, what do you got for number 4?
Mighty Joe Young. All the same reason you guys have been saying. A classic. Remember watching on Thanksgiving every year. You feel so bad for the Mighty Joe in this movie, just like King Kong too, and Song of Kong. You always have sympathy for these creatures. But this is cool too because I got to see it with my father when I was younger. So he was the one that got me into watching these on Thanksgiving. So Mighty Joe Young and Song of Kong, King Kong, and then when was the original Godzilla?
54.
54.
Yep.
54. Mighty Joe Young was
49.
Wow. Okay.
It's
So right around that time when I saw this on Thanksgiving, that's when I remember seeing the first Godzilla, black and white. That's what got me into Godzilla. Or no, I'm sorry. They used to play King Kong versus Godzilla on Thanksgiving too. That was the movie. So it was Mighty Joe Young, King Kong, Son of Kong, and King Kong versus Godzilla. So that's what got me into that. And then I saw the black and white one, and then the rest is history. So very, very important movie to my love for giant monster movies. Absolutely.
That whole scene with the house that's burning and he goes in to rescue the pit. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Orphanage.
Yep. Great music too.
That's right.
Score is great.
Yeah. All right. My number 4, I love this film. Love it, love it, love it. The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. There's just something about a giant dinosaur type creature just wreaking havoc on a city coming from the sea, and awesome. It's in black and white. I think I kind of get a similar type of a feel from this film like I do from the first Godzilla film. And I just love this. I've watched this so many times. The whole ending scene at the amusement park is just classic. I love the scene where he comes out of the sea by the lighthouse, and just love this. Love it to death. That's my number 4.
Do you think when they made Godzilla in the early stages, they had the conversation, do we go stop motion or do we go guy in suit?
I think they did actually.
Did they?
I think it had something to do with King Kong, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and there is a little bit of stop motion in the first Godzilla movie, very little. But I think for them, it was just cheaper to do a suit, and they
right.
From going forward, not surprising.
Okay, my number 3 is what Pete's number 4. Here's another Monster Times with this on the cover, and here's the poster from inside here. I don't know if you can see that too good. This predates Godzilla by 1 year.
1 year, yeah.
And here's my VHS and the Blu-ray. I love this movie. I don't understand why this wasn't the movie that went on to make over and over again. I think the special effects were a lot better than the original Godzilla. I mean, it had the same type of idea with the radiation. I mean, the beast is awoken from a nuclear explosion, and when it's bleeding, it's the radiation from it's like killing people. He kills a lot of people in this movie. At one point, they say 180 people had died from, and then there was people dying from the radiation still. Coney Island there at the end, I don't know why they never made that like the way they did with King Kong for the Empire State Building. Like, if you went to Coney Island today, they should have Beast toys everywhere, and they should have a Beast roller coaster. And I don't know why they didn't capitalize on that, but yeah, I love the special effects when he eats that police officer, grabs him by his head and pulls him up, and just I had the poster when I was a kid, and I remember having the poster before I seen the movie, and it was one of those things because that didn't get played like all the time. Godzilla would get played all the time, but you didn't see the Beast as much, But
I do remember seeing it on TV though.
Yeah,
I know,
but not as much.
Yeah. We used to have Monster Week, Channel 4 Monster Week, and that was another time where like I took over the whole week for the TV in the house, and no baseball games that during that time because I was watching all the Godzilla. Luckily, my brother liked the Godzilla movies and stuff too, so we were able to not fight over that. But yeah, so Beast number 3 for me.
And Rich, wasn't he called technically a Rhedosaurus, right? Isn't that
Rhedosaurus? Yep.
Yeah.
And people thought that was Ray Harryhausen, but it wasn't.
Oh, here's the lighthouse with the miniature. This is awesome.
Yeah, I love that.
Great shot.
That's another thing about it. It was a Ray Bradbury short story, and I read the story, but it was real short little story. And the whole idea was this dinosaur come out of the sea because the fog horn was blaring from a lighthouse. And when it came out of the sea, it realized it wasn't like another dinosaur, it was the last of its kind. So it destroys the lighthouse and then dies, knowing that there's no other one. It's a good idea, but they had to make a whole movie on it. So eventually he goes from the lighthouse to New York, and it's also one of the great first giant monster rampage movies besides King Kong.
Yeah, true. All right, Jamie.
Going back to my box set, and if you guys don't have this box set out there, it's worth getting.
Yeah,
it is
very
is it like 40? It might be $45, but it's worth it. Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, 1958. It's got snappy dialogue, which is always kind of important to me. I like dialogue. I like to have likable characters. But it's a great fantasy flick. Kids of the time would not get bored. I think if there is any movies here that a kid today could watch, this might be one of them. It kind of reminds me of Raiders of the Lost Ark in the sense that once the action starts, it doesn't really stop. Great score as well. Best science fiction and best special effects, and there's a lot. The Cyclops fighting the fire-breathing dragon, how can you go wrong with that? The two-headed flying bird going away with Sinbad, and you got to feel bad for that baby that hatches, lives for 30 seconds, and dies. I'm like, man, 30 seconds. I also like the Cyclops crushing people with tree stumps. He pulls out a tree and starts crushing people. That's great. One aspect of this movie that I don't hear people talk about. There is a scene where Sinbad and the princess are swinging over a broken bridge, and you see them. You almost want to hear the Star Wars theme. Don't tell me George Lucas was not influenced by that scene with Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia going over the bridge in the original Star Wars. Don't tell me. It looks, in my mind, I compare them and they look a little different, but in my mind, when I see this version, it looks very much like the Star Wars one.
How about
George Lucas.
How about the genie? Right, genie's cool too.
Oh, the genie's cool. Yeah, gotta love the genie.
Cool.
What is he, 6?
It's something like that. Yeah. All right, Rich, what do you got for number 3?
All right,
I gotta
Jake.
check on my dog. She likes to dig sometimes.
You got it.
going with Jason. Love the skeleton sequence. It's great. The harpies is great. Yeah, it's just a great fun adventure, right? The battle with the skeletons is really cool. I always thought that was a great sequence.
Oh yeah.
These movies also got me more interested in like history too, Greek mythology and Roman mythology and that kind of stuff as well.
Yeah.
This was great too. The what do they call it? Talos statue that comes to life.
Yeah.
Which
I
that whole thing works really well too. He moves really like a statue, and it's actually perfect for stop motion, right?
And you hear the grinding of the metal as he's moving, right?
Yes. Yeah.
There is a thing out there on YouTube where they have him moving 8 times more smooth. A few of these effects 8 times more smooth. And somebody made the comment of it, but in the original, it moves more like a statue.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't be that
It's
smooth.
made of metal and iron, whatever it is. Because he's rusting. When you see the close up, when they pull out the heel and the sand starts coming out, right? Sand, or what is it? Not sand. What comes out when they do the Achilles heel on them?
Oil or something like that, or grease or something.
Yeah, something starts spilling out of him. And when you look at him, all the coloring and texturing, it looks like he's rusting too.
Yeah.
Looks excellent. Yeah. Great sequences in this movie. Love it.
Well done.
Yeah.
All right, my number 3 is 20 Million Miles to Earth. Right there. I love the Emir. It's funny because I think we talked at the top of the show, like sometimes you love the creature so much that even though the film might not be as good as some of the other ones, you rank it higher because you love that creature so much. I love the Emir. I think he's just one of Ray's greatest creations. And I love, and you see him so much in the film. I mean, he's in the entire film. And I love the closing sequence at the Coliseum. I think it's just absolutely fantastic. And, you feel bad for him. But I've watched this over and over and over and over again. It's just a great science fiction story with a great creature. And it's my number 3.
The little kid in that movie, it grew up to be the photographer in Alligator who gets eaten.
Oh, really?
Yeah, what's his name? Bartman, or I made the notes or something.
I didn't know that. Wow, that's interesting. Alligator rules. Yeah. Very cool.
Ymir looks like offspring of the Kraken too. He looks like they could be cousins. Maybe Ymir would have grew the same size as the Kraken eventually.
You never know. Yeah. And it's very, very comparison. Yeah. I mean, there are some of these creatures that kind of look like each other. And I know Ray kind of took certain models and sculpts and he just kind of morphed them into something else. But yeah, that's a good point.
Bart Braverman.
Mark Braverman
is the actor's name.
Interesting. All right, Ralph, number 2.
Okay, real quick on the Beast, I forgot to mention a thing on Facebook came up today about the actor Kenneth Tobey, and it didn't say anything about it was his birthday today. He would have been 105, but he was the main star of the Beast. But it was all about Quick Draw McGraw and all these other things he did. But as soon as I seen him, I said, "Oh shit, that's the guy from." It's just weird that the day we're filming this, he would have been 105, but he passed away a while back.
Wow.
But yeah, Jason and the Argonauts, my number 2. The VHS and Blu-ray. Like these guys are just saying, the Talos, the way it sounds like metal stretching as he moves. That was so cool. I got a little tiny Talos too.
Here he is.
I got Hydra with the Golden Fleece.
Oh, nice. Look at that.
Nice.
Good, you can see him. What else do I got from that? I think that's it for little toys there. Yeah, this I'm wearing the shirt for the skeleton scene. I think it's probably, arguably the greatest animated scene he ever did was the Hydra teeth coming up and telling them the battle with the skeletons. It was just amazing. I mean, the Cali scene was pretty awesome too, with the animating, the way that they had to time everything perfect. A little tidbit about the Cali scene was that I heard that 3 actors were tied together so that their arms would be moving all at the same time, and that's how they can map out how they have to fight. But just so much work involved with that scene, and another great Dungeons and Dragons type adventure. And yeah, that's it. Number 2, Jason and the Argonauts.
Cool. All right, Jamie.
Going with Mighty Joe Young. This movie has a lot of heart, and that's why I like it. It's almost like like E.T. They're just trying to get them back home, and they got the police chasing them while they're trying to do the right thing. When I was a kid, to be honest, I didn't like it that much because it was Little King Kong. And why would I watch Little King Kong when I could watch Big King Kong? But I was just a stupid kid. I like some of the special effects in this. I find it interesting because they always have that. Let me try to explain this. They always have that screen behind them, and you can tell, it's a little bit blurrier than maybe the effect in front. And they do a really good job of, sometimes the actor becomes stop motion when it's in like the hand. And in this movie, the actor is stop motion for a minute with Mighty Joe Young. And then when they roll into the background, which is the screen, the actor then is in the screen on the same spot, and it flows pretty well. I mean, for 1949, that's very good. I do like the fact that Greg, our hero, becomes smitten with Jill, and he's trying to argue her out of the contract she has with the the showbiz guy, and he goes to her, "That contract is no good. She's underage." "Yeah, Greg, but do you know she's underage, buddy? Do you know?"
He doesn't care.
The best special effects in this, and there's a few. I like how he holds up the piano when Jill is playing. It looks really good. Fighting a bunch of lions, and he tips over, I think, a lion cage with a lion in it. It's not a stop motion lion, and it looks like I saw an interview, and they did some kind of reflection on something to make that work. But you got to go with the orphanage. They make the whole movie red. They put a red tint on it while the orphanage is on fire, and it's so red that when I was watching it a few weeks ago, I took a picture of the room I was watching it in. That I did nothing to that. That's how red the room became during the fire scene. And it's actually brighter here than is appearing on the camera. It's intense. I mean, he's like he's saving the children. Ray Harryhausen was kind of like Andy Serkis in a way. Andy puts his personality into like a Gollum or a Caesar in Planet of the Apes. He was putting his personality, I think, a little bit into Joe in this movie.
Yeah, I agree.
There's a quick scene where he throws one of the lions, and the lion smashes into the table, and it's a real lion. And I'm thinking, how the fuck did they do that? How did they pick up a lion and throw him into tables? Because it's a real lion. They put him on a little catapult and just let him go. That I never heard how they did that.
Yeah, the lion goes flying across, gets up, and then takes off. Yeah.
Like it gets up, like what the fuck?
No PETA back then.
Nope.
Yeah.
All right, Rich, what do you got for number 2?
Clash of Titans. Saw it in the theater. Totally captured my imagination then. A favorite when I first saw it. So it's still one of my favorites. Like we've talked about, the Medusa scene is just looks so spectacular. And if you got this book, you can get this book, the Ray Harryhausen and Animated Life. I mean, they show you all the drawings of what they were doing for this, drew it all out. Right? So cool. And how great is that skull? Just the skull without even seeing it in the film, right? You get to appreciate the work that went into these things.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, but so that Medusa, the Pegasus, I thought Calibus was great too.
Yep. Yep.
Who gets his hand cut off in the swamp, right? It was a live action. There was a little bit of stop motion with him too. That looks a little awkward when you compare that to the live action scenes, but it's okay. It's fine. Vulture is great when they go to the swamp, right? That vulture moves when it flies in the, in the air, and then it comes down and everything. It's in the cage. That works great. How about the scorpion fight with all the scorpions in the desert outside?
Yeah.
Right? That's an excellent sequence. The Kraken, when all the soldiers fighting the scorpions, that looks awesome. A lot of creature stuff going on in this. I thought it was great.
Yep.
So all-time favorite of mine.
Can't argue that. All right. My top two, my number two is Golden Voyage of Sinbad from 73. Absolutely love it. The Centaur fighting the Griffin. Carolyn Monroe. I mean, we've already talked about it quite a bit. So many great creatures in this film. I adore the Sinbad movies. Those are easily my favorites. And yeah, I mean, we've said a bit about it. I've watched it a million times since I was a kid. Still get a kick out of watching it today. So that's my number two. And here we go. Number one. Ralph, what do you got?
All right. Seventh Voyage of Sinbad. Cyclops is my favorite creature that he ever animated. I just something about him. I just love the way he comes to life on the screen. And I was sad again when the dragon beats him. That pissed me off. I wanted to see the Cyclops win.
You know what I do when they're fighting each other? I root for the one that's losing.
I do the same thing all the time.
And I go back and forth.
Here's some refrigerator magnets from famous monster magazine covers.
Yep.
Got this old famous monster where he's fighting a skeleton. Another great scene. First time he animates the skeleton. The skeleton gets reused later on in Jason and the Argonauts. Here's a great magazine from Castle of Frankenstein. People remember this magazine?
Oh, yeah.
I just bought one a few days ago, an old copy.
This one's beautiful.
Yeah.
It opens up and it's got like it's one big painting of all the Ray Harryhausen stuff.
Wow, that is awesome.
That's cool.
That is awesome.
You should put that in a frame.
Yeah,
this is in perfect shape. This one too. This is a really great one. Cyclops is on Famous Monsters like at least 4 times, I believe. There's another old one that I have.
Yeah, look at that. That's so cool.
I got Cyclops Skull that I put together and
it's like you killed him.
I killed them multiple times.
Yeah,
There's
there
a
you go.
plastic one. This is a one made out of like stone. This one's really heavy. You can leave it
Killed his
outside.
kids.
You can put it outside in your garden. Here's another Cyclops Skull.
Wow.
Where do you keep all these? Like in one little room of your house?
My whole entire house is filled with this stuff. It's every inch of my house is skulls and music stuff and then monsters and horror stuff. It's everywhere. I mean, I got another. This is like a one that you buy and paint and stuff. Another little one.
Is that one in the middle the one that came with the line that I have with the Emir and the dragon, the
This is the
vinyl
one-
set?
Yeah, the one on the right is Rich Dad, the smaller one. Yeah.
Yeah, the smaller
That's part of
one. This one came out a little later when they made a few more ones, but I got this is an original. Remember that artist used to be always at Chiller Theater, Torso.
Yep.
Wow, that's
I
amazing.
got a bunch of his stuff, but I had to get a Cyclops one. It's original airbrush painting. What else we got? I got this little Cyclops, and I had a couple more of these little ones, but I misplaced them right before.
I have that one too, I think. Yeah, I got a couple of small ones. Yeah, the Cyclops, to me, I agree with that. I think that's his greatest creation.
Yeah, something about it. This is a great tribute to Ray Harryhausen from Famous Monsters after he passed away.
Oh, nice.
All the movies in there. I never got to meet Ray, but I did get. I got a autograph picture from him. This is his newest book that his daughter put out, Titans of Cinema, and it's great. It's got like what all the models look like today, like all the toys and stuff.
What year is that from? When did that come out?
This one's pretty recent. Let's see.
This one, the one I'm looking at that I've been showing you guys, this one is 2003.
This is 2020. This is pretty new.
Oh, it's new, yeah.
It's got updates of like all the, like this what's left of one of the dinosaurs, and they got the exhibit that goes on. I think that there's a museum in Berlin that has a lot of his stuff.
Yep.
There's what's left of the beast there. This is another great book. This book is just all the art from Ray Harryhausen. He was a great artist, The
storyboard stuff. Yeah, very cool.
All the storyboards, all the conceptual ideas, and you got stuff from all the different movies, things that he didn't end up doing, but he had the ideas of. This is a really great book. And I believe there's another book out there that's all the lost works of Ray, all the ideas of stuff that just focuses on the stuff that he didn't get around to doing. And he had a lot of projects, even after Clash of the Titans. Everybody thinks he just retired as soon as Clash of the Titans ended, but he had a lot of ideas in the works for years after that. But then the technology just kind of surpassed him, and it was time for him to retire. But it's great. Years later, people really started to appreciate him. He got an Academy Award, acknowledged him all those years later for how important he was to cinema, and all the great directors out there that are all influenced by him. George Lucas, Cameron, all of them guys, they all give their props to Ray. And I'm so thankful that he did all that he did, and I'll always love these movies. They always be special to me. And like I said earlier, it's like it brings you back to being a little kid. So yeah, the fantasy parts that are so ridiculous, wearing the shell underwater. So like you just gotta let all that go when you watch these movies, because it's all fantasy and it's just fun. And I'll always love them. Thanks for letting me be part of it.
You got it. Well said. Well said. All right, Jamie, you're number one.
I should mention in my number two, Mighty Joe Young, since she did help me out this, what was that, this morning with the puppet? Or no, that was just 2 hours ago. They talk Swahili in the beginning of Mighty Joe Young, which is my wife's native language. So I keep wanting her to watch it. So what are they saying? What are they saying? On a side note, real quick, which you guys may not know if you're Star Wars fans, I once had Return of the Jedi on the TV, and she lifted her head because this guy, what is his name? Neum Num. What he's talking in the movie is Swahili. And I was like, what's he saying? She's telling me, I'm like, all the Star Wars geekiest geeks don't know what he's saying, but I do, because I got a Kenyan wife. I forget what he was saying. Like, better watch out or something like that. My number one is The Beast, 20,000 Fathoms. I wouldn't call any of these horror movies, but I think I'd call this a horror movie. This is dark. This is gritty. He's
like the first Godzilla.
People.
It's like it's kind of like the first Godzilla, right?
Yeah. I mean, it starts off with a guy getting buried alive. And then on top of everything, the thing's carrying a virus and killing people in the streets with fever. Like the Beast wasn't enough. They got to throw that in. But I love the dialogue. I love Cecil Kellaway as the old scientist, and I feel bad when he dies. You know, it's almost like, well, this is the way I should go, drinking tea and getting eaten by this dinosaur. Love the roar, you know, because sometimes these characters, I wish they had a more fierce roar or something, but this roar is fierce, man. And people are getting eaten in the street and crushed by, like, the bricks come down and crush people when the wall collapse. Yeah, it's like his second movie too, before he got a little bit cute.
It is a second movie,
Yeah,
1953.
he's like, I'm
Second one.
gonna be a little gritty here.
Yeah.
Best science fiction. Hold on, our best. My animals are acting up, man, and the wife is trying to sleep. Best special effects is, of course, the roller coaster. Definitely the roller coaster, and you feel bad for him. He's burning alive. Amazing how he's chewing it apart, but the roller coaster still works, so they can get up there. You know, no blown circuits or anything.
There's a lighthouse.
The lighthouse is great. I
Yeah.
love the inside of the lighthouse when it starts to collapse. The walls start to collapse as they're running down the stairs.
Yeah.
And it's pretty frightening. I love it when he sinks the boat in the beginning. But I would say next to King Kong, the original King Kong, this is the best giant monster movie ever made. I think definitely the best of that era in the 50s when they were doing nuclear war or nuclear tests, always, you know, disrupted stuff and released the monster.
Yep. Yeah. I
So,
would,
there you go.
cool.
What about that scene where the shark is eating the octopus and then the beast shows up and just eats both of them? But that's a
forgot
real
about
shark
that,
eating
yeah.
the octopus.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah.
That's a lot of stock footage, though.
It is, but it's still pretty cool, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Yep. Very cool.
I do like the touch when they're in that little submarine thing, or whatever you want to call it. The water coming in and reflecting off their faces makes it feel real.
Yeah. It's a well done movie.
Mhm.
Again, very low budget. I mean, he had no budget to work with on that, but it doesn't look like it, you know.
Right.
All right, Rich, you're number one.
It's hard to follow up Jamie with that because that's my number one. So he said everything. This is one of those first giant monster movies that I saw with Godzilla and King Kong, the first Rodan, which is right around this time, right? Somewhere around 50, I don't know, 6 or something like that, maybe.
Yeah, something like
And
that.
then I think this movie's the other reason why, you know, this Varan is one of my favorite Godzilla movies, because that was a black and white movie also, and that came out in 58. And that monster is so underappreciated and underrated. People don't even know that movie.
And kind of similar to that creature too. Yeah.
Yeah, because it walks on all fours.
Yep.
So I think this movie, because I saw this first with Godzilla, was a big influence for me to like Varan and then Gearus and Baragon, because they all walk on all fours.
Yep. Yep.
And they can stand up and be on. They can be bipedal too, right?
Yep.
Like here, which the Redosaurus does too sometimes. Not always, but
That would make a great figure right there.
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
when it's climbing, like it's going up the lighthouse, yeah.
Yeah, like a diorama. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. So yeah, this monster was so influential for me to like other giant monsters that are walk on all fours or they're on, their hind legs.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Good choice.
And
Yeah.
the effects, like everything Jamie said, the effects and everything are just great. It's like a dark sci-fi horror movie almost.
When he destroys that tower, you could see the spiral staircase still sticking out of it. Like that's the
Yeah.
great detail of Ray Harryhausen. Like the towers collapsed, but you see that spiral that they were running down sticking out of the tower.
Yeah.
Such great detail.
Attention to detail. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, my number one has always been my number one with these movies. Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, and it's just like perfect movie to me. And I agree with a lot of things that Ralph was saying. For me, the Cyclops is one of the greatest creatures he ever designed. How cool does he look? And especially, the color in this film is just off the charts, considering this was 58, right? Just absolutely amazing. The big battle with the dragon is just so cool. I love, and it's got a great villain in the film. I forget what his name is. The bald guy. What is his?
The magician.
Yeah, the magician. He's a great villain. He's so good. And yeah, the skeleton fight at the end with Sinbad, and just such a crazy movie. And it's just such a swashbuckling, fun fantasy film. And Jamie, I agree with you as well. I think out of all these films, maybe the one in this entire list that I think kids of today, young kids, might be able to enjoy, because you're right. It's nonstop action and adventure from a certain point in the film all the way to the end. And it's my number one. It was my favorite when I was growing up as a kid, and it's still my favorite. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, the whole scene where he's got the guy in the spit right in there.
On the sewer, yeah.
Classic. So
Yeah.
It's funny in the beginning too, when the princess is shrunken.
yeah.
No one suspects the magician. No one. He's got total villain voice. How could you not suspect him?
Totally. Yeah. Yeah, it's great. So there you have it, everybody. Thanks for staying with us here tonight on this big love fest for Ray Harryhausen. And we all grew up with him. And these films, to me, I'll be watching these till my last day on this earth, and I'll never get tired of them. That's just how much fun these are, and they've been such a big part of all of our lives. So Ray, thank you so much for all this great stuff you've given us. This has been a blast. So I want to thank Rich and Jamie and Ralph for revisiting some of these films and talking about them here tonight. This has been a lot of fun. And I'm glad we finally got around to doing this on the channel. So thanks for watching, everybody. In the comments below, rank these as you like them, and feel free to talk however much you want about these Ray Harryhausen classics, and visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, of course, we're here on YouTube all the damn time. Look, there you go.
I forgot about that.
There's the Cyclops. There he is.
I thought he was going to have all the damn time tattooed on his arm.
Not yet. That's coming next, right?
That would be creepy.
Very cool. So thanks again. Good night, everybody. For Rich and Jamie and Ralph, I am Pete. Have a good one. See you soon on the Monsters Den. Take care.
Bye.